another episode of Five Idiots Talking Toys, the show with five grown adults who clearly have nothing better to do on a Sunday night than talk about toys. Your hosts, Brandon Alamo, Shane Davison, the brothers Wildminster, Christopher and Charles, and our ringleader, John Walden. John, how are you tonight?
Thanks, Shane. It's a prestigious title I have there. That's good. Great, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for asking. Happy to be here with you guys. What are we going to talk about tonight?
Tonight, I think we're going to be talking about sales, like online auction sales. I know all of us do some sort of sale from time to time on different groups, different Facebook groups, and we're going to talk about static sales, or I think a couple of guys are more familiar with that, and somebody, I think Brandon, is about to dip his toe into a live auction sale. I think he helped you, right, Shane, one time?
Yeah, he joined me for a sale and had all of his own stuff, and we went dual screen, which is a fun time, honestly, because I've been doing the live auctions for a couple of months now, maybe 10 shows or so. And I love to talk, but at some point it gets kind of boring, sitting in a room by yourself. So it is good to have somebody to live chat with while you're putting the items up for auction.
Well, I hope if Brandon does his live sale, he doesn't wear his hat and he has his nice perm press going with his hair. That'd be perfect.
Oh, can we get a preview of that?
He'll attract a lot of viewers with that, let me tell you.
I gotta braid it first.
So Shane's last sale, I was laying in my bed. I was trying to go to sleep. I'm like, all right, let me just see what Shane's up to. And I couldn't go to sleep. I was just laughing. It was so funny.
What was your favorite part, Charles?
Oh, it had to be the Greedo, and he was dancing to all the music.
The fist pumping Greedo, the EDM Greedo.
It was so funny.
John, I got to send you a clip of that. Maybe we can show everybody what he's talking about.
Yeah. I went back and I watched that, and it was hilarious. It was so funny. And Akbar kind of popping in behind him there.
Yeah, I showed my kids, and they were just dying. I know Charles said the same thing.
Yep.
That's just, hey, when there's a figure that's not getting bids, it was, I don't know what time of night. I was kind of delirious, and he sold pretty quickly after that. So it worked out.
Yeah, I noticed that. That's crazy that it just it was getting no action whatsoever. And then all of a sudden it jumped up to above what you were asking, wasn't it?
It went to what I was looking for. It went to a fair price. But then the Akbar I just threw in the background because I thought it was funny, and they both sold instantly. So
That was good.
So, guys, we all sell in a different way, similar ways, but some live auctions, some claim sales, some live claim sales or possibilities. How do you guys like to sell? What has worked for you so far?
I personally, just like to do like a claim sale, kind of just take all my pictures beforehand, write down the descriptions of what I'm selling, and I like to just slap it up, and because people aren't on their phones or on the computer all day long when you're doing live, especially if it's a live claim sale. So you might list some items and it kind of just sits there for a while. And then as the day goes on, it does pick up. But I'd rather just post everything at once and, just do it from there.
Yeah, and for viewers that don't know, Chris is, I guess you could say, partners with?
Partners.
With, Gene Smith, and I've known him for a while now, but with Orange Droid Vintage Toys.
Yes.
So we'll drop that link in the links section of our show this week. But yeah, I like the idea of static sales too, because it's almost like you can do it on your own time. But it seems like there are times when the auctions do much better.
Oh, yeah. I think a live auction does better on prices, but you can't get through as much as you would on a claim sale. So it's kind of like it kind of evens out. You may get more money, but you list less items. So
yeah, you're totally right. I've thought that more recently, but definitely had the same thought because you can. I do long sales. So some people come on for an hour and a half or 2 hours. I really, and you guys know this because I talked to you before I started the sales. I truly, really only do the sales just because I thought it looked really fun. John was doing a bunch at one period, like in the early spring, middle spring. And I just thought it looked like a good time. He had a buddy in the background in one show and was helping him out. And it was just funny. It was a funny show. And that's the reason why I do it. But there are some auctions where I'm on for 5, 6 hours, and at the end of the night, I look over at the counter where I have all the sales laid out, and I'm like, wow, you know, that's a good amount. But after 5 hours, I can't believe I didn't sell more than that. And it's just because it takes so long to get through. You know, you're talking, but there's also the time you need for each figure to be on screen.
Yeah.
There's a couple guys in the IC that do their claim sales, and they'll go through. They'll list it out by lot number. They'll do. The last one I saw was like over 150 lots, and they were on for maybe 2 hours.
Wow. There really must be just blazing through those. I don't know how you can get through them that fast.
Is it an auction one, or did they
No,
just
it's a claim sale.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
Where they list them all as separate lots.
You know, one show, and I haven't watched in a while, but I'll throw the name out there, give a little bit of a plug. Plastic Toy Galaxy. He's a toy store in Oklahoma, I think. He was the first one that I found who was doing any kind of a live sale, a Facebook Live. And I know that they existed for some time before that, but this is going back maybe 4 or 5 years at least. He was doing them for Star Wars toys, and I didn't know anybody else who was doing them at the time. And I was collecting modern, but I would tune into that every week. Like I had an alarm on my phone. He would do it like every Tuesday night at a certain time, and I just liked watching it. That was the first time I got to watch anything. I don't think I was even in the the IC yet or any of the vintage groups that I'm in now. And that was just fun. And he did claim sales, but it would blow my mind. He'd put up a price, and it was whatever price he wanted, and he would just stick up a sticky note like item number 17, claim it now, $27. And there would be 30 people claim, trying to fight over it. And I just thought it was super entertaining to watch.
Does he still do it?
He does. And it's a lot of modern stuff. He does do vintage figures, and I'm at the point now where, I have all the vintage figures. So I kind of, it was a lot of stuff that I wasn't interested in, but yeah, I think he's real successful with it. He started with that, and then he opened up a brick and mortar store. He was doing it just out of his own, like, basically toy store Facebook page, kind of like Orange Droid. And then he opened up a brick and mortar, and so now he does both. And he, it's great for him, I guess, because he cross promotes and says, I have a lot more stuff. Come into the store if you're in the area, but I do ship anywhere. I just found it really interesting, way to run the business.
Yeah, I noticed that Charles has been getting some action lately on his static sales too. Is there a particular? I'm guessing that's what you prefer to do is like a static sale, a claim sale.
Yeah, I've tried the 1x1, sale, and someone just has to stay on for just way too long of a time. It never works out. So I think the static ones work way better, but I don't know. Sometimes, all of it, matters on what you're actually selling. If you're doing weapons and accessories, it is like a slugfest. I think someone got stabbed last time I did it. It is like crazy. Like, it's nuts.
Yeah, I've done one of those before where it was just like they would not leave me alone for hours and hours and hours. And I was trying.
Well, yours, John, went really quick because one guy claimed the whole lot.
Well, we did have one where someone in particular claimed the whole lot. I had to stop it. I had to turn off the comments and everything. And I was like, "Hang on, guys, I gotta figure out how to do this because somebody claimed everything." And that was fine with me, but
yeah, of course.
I just think that the claim sales like that sometimes though bother me because not everybody gets the opportunity, to. Well, I mean, I guess they have the opportunity, but then you have somebody like that buyer that swooped in and bought everything. I kind of feel bad for people because some people need it for their collections, and then some people just get it because they're gonna put it with other figures that are loose, and then they're gonna resell it and all that stuff. And that's fine with me. Once they buy it, it's theirs. So
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I throw the claim sale up, and sometimes it just flies, and other times it doesn't. But I probably sell 3/4 of my stuff through like Messenger. I don't even list it.
I've thought that before. I was going to say that the Star Wars accessories and weapons posts are just fly. They're just so. It's just like they get swarmed. Everybody's so interested in them. It makes me think. The capitalist in me makes me think. You guys give great deals on the stuff that you sell, and a lot of people know that. That's why you do so well with those posts. But the capitalist in me makes me think you should just like raise the prices like 10 or 20%. Partly just to slow down the sale and make it a little easier to manage, but also because you're going to sell it all anyway. And then I don't know, maybe if you had a handful of things left over, you repost it later on, drop the price down. I mean, everybody's after those accessories. Those are just, they get killed, those posts.
I have like a huge bag full. It's so much work. I find it so much easier. Someone sends me a message and says, hey, I need, these, 30. I have 3 guys right now that want probably, 50 or more each. It's so much easier. I'll just sell, through Messenger.
And I have seen people post accessories in particular and say, I've seen this in the past, limit of 1 accessory per person, like 1 type of accessory. And I get the sentiment that they're trying to cater to everybody, but that makes it even more of a nightmare to manage. You just want to sell them. You don't care who you're selling them to, and if somebody swoops in and buys, 70% of it, that's 1 box you have to ship, not 17.
It's easier. I like it. I think it's easier, to be honest with you.
It's a lot easier.
I think when I met you guys in April, I don't even know if you guys knew that I sold, because most of the time I sold was all through PM. It was all done privately. I didn't even make listings. I just PM.
No, we knew that Gene sold for you.
I had some other questions for this. What is that you have in the background, Charles?
Oh, that's Lobot.
Oh, that's your Lobot?
I mean, that's General Lando.
General Lobot?
General Lobot.
That's awesome.
Say something, Charles, so you can.
I'm gonna have it here forever, so that you don't know that I ripped Lobato off and I sold them, and I sold the Vader cape and the modern weapon that's in there. So I'm gonna keep them like this.
Nice. I wish I could have seen your expression when you opened that.
I was actually shocked, and I think I sent a message to Chris and Gene, and I'm like, I didn't open it yet, but I bought a mint on card off of John, and it's in a bag.
This is how he's sending it.
I said, I hope it's not in here in this bag. It was hilarious, though. I was laughing.
Well, the bubble made it uncrushed. That amazes me.
It did. Yeah.
I'm shocked by that. I'm absolutely shocked.
Nothing happened to it.
Was it in like a manila bubble mailer?
Not even a bubble. No.
It was in like a school folder.
It was in one of those Tyvek
Yes.
mailing bags.
Yep.
He reused an Amazon Prime bag.
And I just stuffed some newspaper in there.
I mentioned earlier that I started selling at all just because I thought it would be fun to do a live sale. You guys, I'm assuming you do the selling that you do to help support the hobby. I think we've talked about that before, but what do you enjoy about selling, and what struggles have you had with selling so far? What's the hardest part? The shipping? Is it a lot of communication back and forth? What's the struggle?
I'll go if you want.
Sure.
Well, the hardest part for me is definitely the time. It's not really shipping. It's more of like the communicating with all the customers and constantly being on my phone. And I have a 2-year-old that I watch all day, and You know, he's running around. I can't be on my phone all day constantly writing back and forth to people with prices and shipping and, oh, you didn't add your 4%, please add 4% for goods. And you know, they even though I told them in the beginning, pay friends and family or add 4%, they still will send it goods and services, not add the 4%. It's just the amount of time I'm on my phone, and I don't really want to be on my phone that much. I really don't. I try not to, but in order to do as much business as we do, I'm on my phone a lot, and it's taking away from like my home life, to be honest with you.
I think we can get into an entire episode on that.
Of spending too much time and then being away from your family with Star Wars.
I'd get yelled at for being on my phone for the entire episode. So,
oh yeah, I'm sure we all do. And then now you get into the situation where it's friends and family versus the goods and services, and who's going to pay the 4%? How about the time? You know, we have to look for the stuff and ship it and message and we have to do all that stuff. It's just, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work,
so,
you know, for a seller.
I found out that for the couple sales that I did do, that the easiest thing would probably be to include it in the message in the PM. So once the sale is done, include like two prices, like, hey, this is your goods and service price, and this is your friends and family price. And then that way they can respond with, okay, you know, here's my total due, whatever. And if they send you the money, you know, friends and family, that's fine. But if they want goods and services and don't include the fee, then you can have something to stand on. Because the first sale I did, I didn't send out totals to everybody, and I got a couple people that sent me the money but goods and services, and I ended up having to fork over the money just because I was like, well, I wasn't clear about it, so next time I'll be clear about it. So I learned that pretty quick.
Yeah, and I've noticed that people they're not very gracious when it comes to that, because I've heard people complain and they're like, well, if you're selling a $400 figure, what's another 4%? You know, a lot of times we're on the margin when we sell this stuff.
Oh, well, yeah, we're not making, you know, tons of money.
Yeah, I mean, we're really on the margin. I mean, some sellers do sell stuff for like 50% above what they sell or what they've bought, what they paid for it. And some sellers, you know, like that's one thing I like about the live auctions is you just never know where it's going to go. And I think, you know, we've all discussed that we like to try to stay in the 10 to 20%.
Yep.
And a lot of times we're just breaking even. So just the fact that somebody would say something like that kind of bothers me. That's one of the things that bothers me is like they don't see how the sausage is being made. You know, they don't see all the stuff that we do. They don't see the packing that we go through. They don't see the night after a sale when the basement or whatever is covered in boxes and cut up cardboard and foam peanuts everywhere, which I don't like to use those very much, but and bubble wrap and stuff like that everywhere. They don't see all that stuff. They don't see during the live sale. They don't see, you know, because you don't have just one person asking you for something. You have 25 to 30 people asking you for something, sometimes more. And you try to you try to honor that with them, but there's no way sometimes. And you know, I just don't want people to get pissed and then never buy anything again. But I also want to say, hey guys, look, I've got two arms, I've got two hands, and I'm doing the best I can, you know. And that just kind of seems like a cop out to say that, but I wish that was something that they understood, that the buyers understood, is that the sellers, we are working, and we are working for a thin margin.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I operate within a 10 to 20% margin. I will, you know, PM them with the total, friends and family, goods and services also. Right before I came on, I had a guy send me goods and services, but didn't add the 4%, even though I showed him the price. So, and it was only $2.15. You know what I did? I refunded him back his money, and I PM'd him, and I said, hey, if you want the item, this is the price, not that price. I'm not trying to be cheap here, but it is what it is. I'm not making a killing off of it already. It's already way underpriced compared to, eBay and other groups. To be honest with you, I try and offer the stuff like as the least price as possible. To be honest. So,
Yeah, and I that's what I did with my last sale. I sold a couple of mocks this week. My stock is getting low, and there's some reasons for that, and I won't get into that. But I sold a couple of things this week, and it was the same thing. You know, I had to put in as a disclaimer, I had to say, look, if you agree to this, you're saying that you agree to paying friends and family. And if you send me goods and services, I'm refunding you your money. I don't know if you guys saw that or not.
I did.
I'll refund your money and we'll go from there.
That's right on the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's another thing that bothers me. I had to keep commandeering this, but another thing that bothers me is people don't read the rules.
No.
Well, we put the rules out there. I know every one of us that have sold on there. I've seen every one of y'all's sales, and every one of them has rules. It's like, you know, first one to claim gets it. You know, has specific shipping rules, specific payment rules, all that kind of stuff. And people just ignore it. That's another thing that bothers me is they ignore it, and then they make the sale or make the purchase however they want to, or however they think they want to, and or they think they can. And that's one thing that bothers me about sales.
Yeah, I've learned that early on, and I do the same thing. I have like a cookie cutter, you know, thing that I send out, but I list within that, I list what the item was that you purchased in a live sale, and I give the friends and family price, and right next to it, I give goods and services. I do the math for them, you know, try to give you the best chance. I haven't had too much trouble, but just like you guys said, we're not, you know, scouring the country and discovering estate sales where we're buying, you know, enormous collections for $100. I mean, we're buying things in the same way that a lot of other people are. We just look out for a decent deal where, you know, for me, it's easy. It's like, hey, this is something I could put up for a live sale. It's just kind of inventory to be able to do that part of my hobby. But, you know, maybe you'll make 10 or 20%. But once you start cutting into that, then you start saying like, hey, now this is kind of like costing me. Like, what am I doing at this point?
Yeah.
And that leads me into something else that came up recently, just as a question. Somebody was kind of picking my brain. Insurance on shipping things. I have in my little cookie cutter thing, I was selling glassware at one point, or some oddballs that were, you know, breakable. And I said, I just decided I'm going to require shipping insurance for mocks, for mint on cards, for some more expensive items that could get damaged, and for glassware that can break. And somebody, you know, politely asked me, well, why do I, as the buyer, pay for the insurance? You know, isn't that covering the seller's risk? Why wouldn't the seller pay for that? And I said, as far as I see it, it's not seller's risk. Once you buy it for me, it's now your item. I do my due diligence to carefully pack it up. I try to make everything bomb-proof, you know, with tons of bubble wrap, not, you know, big enough boxes. But then once I hand it over to the post office, it's out of my hands. You know, there's nothing I can do with the delivery process. So the insurance is protecting your item for you as the buyer with the post office, basically. What are you guys' thoughts on that? What has your experience been with insurance, and have you had any pitfalls with that?
So I usually roll the dice up to like $100. I'll just do first class mail, no insurance, whatever, you know, see what happens. If someone's going to spend, you know, $300, $400, $500, I usually just spend the money myself. I insure it.
Just to avoid the possible headache.
Yeah, like someone bought, I think, $4,300 worth of accessories from me, and the shipping was $5 because that's what I normally charge. I'm not throwing that within a box for $5. I'm going to spend the $30 or whatever it cost me, and I insured it myself. So I do that probably most of the time.
I mainly do like loose figures. So when it's more expensive, I'll ask them, hey, if you want insurance, it's going to be X amount of dollars extra. But for the most part, yeah, I just ship it out and I roll the dice also myself. But there's been times where the package got lost. damaged, and we fully refund. I refund everybody, to be honest with you. I send out refunds, but we haven't had that many problems, to be honest with you. The post office has been pretty good with us. But
so now, what is that process like? If to the way that you run your business is you give a full refund, which is excellent customer service, from the side of from the view of the buyer. But then, do you follow up? Are those items insured? Do you follow up with putting a claim in with the post office to get reimbursed, or how does that work?
well, it depends if we bought insurance on the item in the first place. So if I send someone like a mop and they get it in the mail and the box is perfectly fine, not damaged, but when he opens it up, the figure burst out the bubble, there's really nothing you could do about that. I pack it up as best as I can. I use the saran wrap, like James Coleman was saying. I wrap it around the bubble. That's how I do it, so it doesn't bounce up and down. But sometimes it still breaks out. It's a 40-year-old bubble. So there's not much you can do. But if he sends me a picture and says, hey, his foot broke out the bubble, I'll do like a reimbursement. I'll say, hey, the figure is worth 50, the card is worth X, you paid 200, so I'll reimburse you 100, something like that. Luckily there hasn't been too many problems. A couple of lost boxes, I've refunded them the money. Probably should
I've never lost one. Out of all the sales, I've never lost one box, not one item.
We're doing hundreds of figures a week. I'm doing so many boxes and so many items. It's just, our percentage of what's gotten lost or damaged is actually very good. I'm probably running at like a 98%. So I'm talking like 2% of all my items, which is very good. So I kind of just roll the dice. But if it's very expensive, yeah, I say, hey, you want insurance? Here's the insurance. Most of the time, I even will pay for it, depending on what the item is.
The only one that I'm always so nervous about is sending to like UK or to Australia. It's so far, and the insurance, it would be like $200 for shipping.
Yeah, so they're paying that.
Yeah, so no one wants to pay for the insurance. So sending something to Australia, I just shipped someone. It was $27. Now, if that gets lost, it's like what happens if it never gets there?
Do you realize that when most of the time people sell, they don't ship worldwide. They don't ship it across overseas because they don't want to be bothered with it. We ship it everywhere. I ship everywhere. I just shipped a box to Australia. It was $93 in shipping, and he pays for it. But if it takes you 3 months or if it takes a month, it's out of my hands. I can't do anything about it. Sometimes it gets there very quick, and sometimes it takes forever. And
I think most people in those foreign countries who are in these American groups, are reaching out to American sellers for collectibles. They mostly understand that because I've only dealt with a few, and they were really good about it. I had one guy who kind of surprised me. He's a regular buyer of probably all of ours, and he bought some stuff, and he lives in New Zealand. And he bought some loose figures, and I think he knows what those are going to cost to ship, right? And then he actually bid on a Darth Vader figure case. And I'm just thinking to myself as he's bidding on it, like, oh my gosh, this thing is huge. It's going to cost so much more to ship it.
Yeah.
But he goes in knowing that. He knows he's going to buy a case for me for $30, which is a decent price, but it's going to cost like $40 to ship it, in addition to already the $30 to ship his figures. So they kind of know that, and that's what goes along with buying internationally.
I have so many of those cases. I have like 14, I think.
Yeah, it's insane how many.
I've handed them out for free because I get so many of them, and shipping is so crazy on them.
Yeah, no one's going to pay for shipping. It's just.
Yeah, I had a case one time, not a Darth Vader case, but I had an instance one time where a buyer who's bought for me before has bought for me since, but it was during the whole crisis with COVID and shipping last year. That was a nightmare. I mean, in the States and abroad. And he's in Australia, and he bought some stuff from me, and it took 3.5 months to get there. And by about a month and a half in, he started, hey man, or sorry, hey Mike, I'm going to have to file a claim with PayPal. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what to tell you, but that's not what you need to do because I provided you with tracking. You see where it is. It was somewhere in Japan at the time. And, you know, I screenshotted the tracking information, the tracking history, and I said, look, man, it's in Japan. I didn't take it to Japan. I put it in the mail to go to Australia, and it's in Japan. I can't do anything about that, you know, and cooler heads prevailed, and he finally didn't, you know, he didn't file a claim against PayPal with me or anything like that. And it got there, but it was like, it took 3.5 months to get there. And then the next thing I sent to Australia took 2 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But as far as like losing stuff, I haven't lost anything yet, but I did send something to somebody's old address. He's a college student, and I sent it to his old apartment because he bought for me in the spring, and then he just bought something else in the fall. Well, apparently some of his friends were still neighbors to the people who live in his old apartment, and fortunately they were able to go pick it up, and he went and met them and picked it up. I was sweating bullets, man, because it was not. Whew, it wasn't.
John, I remember this story. The thing with it is it was a prune face, so you really don't want to lose that, right?
Very valuable.
Very valuable.
That's like gold.
Garbage.
But yeah, it was, man. And when he said that he went over there and picked it up, I was finally able to release my bowels.
Yeah,
it was such a relief.
So, guys, with selling, have you ever had? Is there a single disaster story or just something funny, something that just sticks in your mind in terms of shipping and selling that you could tell us about?
I have a funny buying story.
Okay.
So I was buying from a fellow collector. He's been a friend of mine for a number of years. I actually met him off of eBay. I was buying a lot of stuff off of eBay, and then I started contacting him directly. So when I joined the pages a few years ago, I actually saw his name on there, and I'm like, oh, hey, I know you. And he's been selling off some of his stuff lately. He's been selling some of his stuff off lately. So I ended up driving, a few states over to pick it up. And I left my house at 12 o'clock at night. It took me like 4 hours to get there. I was meeting him in a mall parking lot. So I got there at 4 o'clock in the morning. I ended up sleeping in the back of my car. I had to fold the seats down. I slept in the back of my car in the trunk for about 5 hours until he got there to do a transaction in a mall parking lot, like 4 states over. And we were talking like a lot of money, we're talking like 5 figures. So here I am meeting this guy at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, doing a Star Wars transaction deal while I'm sleeping in the back of my car. And then everything worked out good though, because like I said, he has been like a buddy of mine for a while. I picked it up and then I drove home and I told my wife what had happened, and she thinks I'm absolutely crazy.
I'm totally picturing like you in the middle of like the Twin Pines parking lot, and like the Libyan nationals come up in a VW bus. I'm waiting for that part of the story.
Well, I was scared that I was going to be sleeping in the car because it was the only car in the parking lot, and there's like more security driving around, and I'm sitting there with the car on and I'm just sleeping in the back, or trying to sleep because I was exhausted from driving throughout the night. But I was, why is there a Karate Kid chopping flies over there?
Mr. Miyagi over here. Can you tell us how you learned that technique?
I have this fruit fly. It just keeps on just flying past, and I can't get it.
Oh my gosh, the fruit flies this summer are awful, and they sneak in everywhere.
Oh,
yeah.
it's been terrible.
I learned how to make a fruit fly trap last summer, and it is the greatest thing we ever learned in this house.
I do it. I have it right now. I'm sure it's the same thing.
Can you share it?
With the apple cider vinegar,
Apple cider
right?
vinegar and the pump of soap.
Absolutely. It totally works. You just need it in whatever room you're in.
Yes, it does work.
That's insane.
We'll put that in the notes. Make sure everybody understands the recipe.
We'll put that in the notes for sure.
This episode is brought to you by Collector Archive Services. Chris, can you show us your back again, please?
I actually wanted to show 2 figures that I bought off of John on his live auction a while
Good
back.
grief, man.
They just got back from grading. This is an Obi-Wan, got graded an 85. This is a Leia Hoth, 85 plus.
I cannot believe that.
The grades are top-notch from a top-notch seller. This,
Oh.
you know, I knew what I was getting, so just wanted to show those off real fast.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. I should have kept it. But yeah.
Why is there a little kid in the background?
Do what? Oh,
What
you gotta.
ship is that? I want to see it.
It's Y-wing.
I was running around with a Y-wing.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than that. That's why we're all doing this, so our kids can run around with Y-wings.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Someone listed this huge lot on Deal or No Deal, probably maybe 6 months ago or whatever. And he would only snap, photos from far away. He wouldn't make a list of what he was selling. And there was just hundreds of comments. Everyone was making fun of him. And just out of nowhere, I'm like, I don't know, 4,200. I just threw out a number. He actually called me through Facebook Messenger. I never actually spoke to someone on the phone like that. He actually called me and he's like, listen, he's like, I'm done. I've had so much, crap with all this and all the comments and all the making fun of me. He's like, you can have it, 4,200. So I was real nervous because I couldn't even see the stuff. And when I got it in, it was just awesome. All awesome stuff.
Yeah, I remember that.
Included I think an extra 30 figures with all this stuff. I got a lot of stuff from him. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard you say that before. Just talking, just being nice to people, just chatting, just making some friendships and interactions goes a long way when you're, in a hobby where there's expensive collectibles, and when you're looking to buy for your own collection, when you're also looking to sell to support the hobby a bit. Just being a nice guy goes a long way. I've heard you say that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That's the
all
truth.
5 of us are not selling so we can keep the lights on at our house. We're selling to, have a few extra dollars, for ourselves. So, we could buy something for ourselves and stuff like that. None of us are selling and buying a car from it or something like that.
Right. And I had a conversation with my 6-year-old daughter this morning that made me think she's coming from the same place that sometimes the buyers come from. I sold a General Lando at my last live sale, and it is just awesome condition. And I sold it for $350. And so, I tell my daughter, who has no concept of money, oh, this is a really expensive one. She was helping me wrap, the boxes and stuff. And I said, oh yeah, this sold for $350. And she looks at me, she goes, Daddy, you're rich. You make so much money from Star Wars. You're the best seller. And I laughed because she doesn't realize that I bought that for $325 and I made $25 on it. And
the me? Was that the one you bought from me?
No. That's in my collection. I have that one, but it was an improvement. It was an upgrade for me. But I sold one that I got recently off of eBay, along with a bunch of others that somebody was selling some last 17. And I bought them just because it was good fodder for a live sale. And Christopher gave me that advice early on. He said, listen, buy some nicer figures, some last 17. You may not make much on them, but you'll get people there to buy the rest of what you have. So
it attracts them. And even if you break even, it's a win. That's all that matters,
Yeah, and I've also learned even more so recently. I put up, I'm a graphic designer. I'll put up some, nice looking advert for my sale. But I've learned that putting up a picture of some items, a pool of items you're going to be pulling from to sell makes a big difference. And I'm a bit lazy with that, taking all my stuff out and setting it up for a photo. But I think I have to start doing that because it does make a difference to get people there. My sale this past week was so much better than the last one I did, just in terms of having people show up. and I've tried every night of the week at this point, pretty much. I've tried some earlier times. I've tried some later times after my kids are in bed, which works a little bit better for me. But then the next thing I know is I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning, kind of like processing my sales a little bit, and I'm on late. So, but that's the big thing. Yeah, to answer your question, you've got to get people there. And if you have, 10 people in there, you're not selling much, and you're not selling it for a decent price. So it's a gamble.
I think it also depends on the time of year. Right now, it's summertime. People are out camping, doing back to school shopping, stuff like that. So that's probably why the sales aren't as great. I know you're picking every night of the week, but it's also the time of the year. But I noticed also that pictures do help because people do attend certain auctions because they see something that they want.
The specific
what you're offering. Some people are hunting different types of stuff, or certain variants, or that one thing that they need for their collection, and you're going to put it up. So I know that helps with auctions. I know you guys like your Shane likes his nice advertising and his cool pictures and stuff. So I actually like that. That's a different way to advertise, but including the picture of what you're actually going to put up for sale, I think helps a lot.
Yeah, my friend Eric Ehrlich, who's in the group, who everybody knows, he does live sales as well. He did an interesting post. He's also a graphic designer, so he's kind of where I got my the idea from, to do something nice in terms of an advertisement. But he took his advertisement and he layered photos in of his actual products, like above and below his graphic advertisement, and that was a good way to do it too, because it combines both. But I've had people after a sale contact me and want to buy, a last 17 figure or something nicer that I had in the sale that either didn't go up or didn't sell because it didn't hit a reserve or whatever. And I've actually turned it down because I just know that that'll help me with the next sale to at least have a handful of those figures to attract people to come. So I'm going to have to do that from now on.
Yeah. So my question that I thought of was, how do you guys feel about you sell something, say for like, $30, and that was your price, and then you see it up like next week for $50. So someone's flipping you.
Who cares? Once I sell it, it's out of my hands. I hope they can sell it for $300. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, that's been my thing too. I've had some people who've bought from me in the past and like, hey, I hope you don't mind, I'm selling this. And I'm like, dude, I don't care. I mean, we're both doing the same thing,
Yeah.
I think it's
the
funny.
same with me. I really don't care. They can sell whatever I'm selling for more. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I made the money that I wanted on it. Now it's yours. And if you want to make a few bucks on it, go ahead. That's how this all works.
My feelings always when it comes to like buying and selling, my brother has said it like many times. Shane mentioned it before. I try and be as nice and friendly to everybody. I try and give them the fairest offer. I'm not looking for 50%, 40%. I literally do the smallest margin possible. People will contact you. I don't have to go out and promote. I'm not putting ads in penny savers. I'm not even chasing people down. People will contact us through PM about buying their collection because they know that we're just nice and fair people. And that's really all I want. We don't want to hurt anyone at the end of the day. We make a little bit of a profit. I'll leave room on for someone else to flip it themselves later on down the road. And I'm all for that. I hope they do it.
And that's what kind of keeps everybody's collections going too. That's what keeps this hobby afloat. It's kind of like the symbiotic relationship with the buyer and the seller. The buyer becomes the seller, and that's how we get things passed around, and that's fine with me. I don't mind that at all. I mean, I think that's the greatest thing in the hobby because we all own a piece of somebody else's history.
Yep.
All right, well, that wraps it up for another episode of 5 Idiots Talking Toys. Thank you so much for joining us again tonight. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much.